Welcome to a Toast to Truth. This is where I share the mental, emotional, and financial frustrations of being an entrepreneur. This is Season 6, Episode 5, Finding Your Footing. Today's question is, how long should it take to figure out your business model? Had this little journey for a while, and so it's definitely something that I have struggled with in the past, have had to come to grips with, depending on how I saw how things should go versus how, quote unquote, my audience saw how things should go. So this season's theme is karma and destiny. I would definitely say a business model is definitely karma in a sense that when you have an audience, you want to present to them something that they want in a way that they are willing to receive it. If you present them what they want and in a way that they want to receive it, they will give you some type of financial compensation. That is your karma. For me, however, I have had inner battles with giving my audience what they want, how they want it, because how they want it was not how I wanted to give it to them. So let me explain that. There have been businesses that I've had that the audience wanted more of women empowerment type of events and blog posts and products, but that's not my MO. That just does not move me. That's not my cup of tea. I'm not into women's empowerment at all. Like, not even for myself. I don't even like attending women empowerment events. I wanted to have a very succinct, very structured framework for a former business of mine. And the audience just wanted me to make them feel good. So we had a conflict. Do I give them what they want in a way that they want, or do I shut down the business? Most people would probably give them what they want, how they want it, to continue to make money. I just could not do it. So I shut down the business. Now, in last episode, Season 6, Episode 4, where I talked about drug traffickers, which have gotten a lot of interesting comments online, I talked about the Truth Confidant being a boutique type of model where I'm giving my customers, my clients, something that they can't get that's being mass produced. Now, you can create a business model however you want, but you have to find a customer base for that particular business model. Sometimes customers are in front of you and you build your business model based on feedback that you are receiving from them. Other times you have this idea that you just have to get out and it has to be a certain way because you think it has to be that way. But the audience that's in front of you is not receptive to that business model. So what do? You then go and search for the audience for that business model. That sometimes takes a little longer and may cost a lot more money. You may want to curse yourself out every day that it takes you in order to find that particular audience. But then at the end, it may have worked out for you. Business models are not one size fits all. Like, there's so many people online who are quote unquote business coaches who tell you you need to have a funnel, you need to have an email sequence, you need to email every single day, you need to do live streaming 50 million times a day, you have to do a Facebook group, you have to do this, you have to get the bot now or whatever it is on Facebook Messenger, you have to do Facebook ads, you have to do this, it's like have to. But does that actually work for you? Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. A lot of times it won't work because we don't fully commit to what has been suggested because we weren't really feeling it to begin with. So we just somewhat half-assed put it in our business model, and then we wonder why it doesn't work all the way. You have to actually get to know your audience to see what it is they want. And you have to learn how to give them what they want in a way that they're willing to accept it. Or you create a business model and then you go out and you search for a customer base that is receptive to the model you have already built. So you can either build along the way, which is the first way, getting feedback from your audience, catering to your audience, tweaking to your audience, or you create something and then you find that customer base and you make small changes as you continue to grow that customer base. Let me give you two examples. The first one where you have a customer base and then you start just creating the model based on that, I would definitely say would be coaching or consulting. If you think about it, you start this business and you're like, I have a certain way, I know I'm the best, I'm going to have all these clients, and then you start fizzling and people aren't coming to you because you're not as popular or attractive or kinetic as other people in your industry. So you start adapting your ways to attract a customer base, and you start adapting how you thought you would present consulting, how you thought you would present coaching programs. If you really look at the coaching and consulting industry, it has really become a place where I want customers and I'm willing to do almost anything that they're willing to pay for in order to get them. And then they get burnt out, then they get frustrated, and then they're like, no, I can't do it anymore. I was watching a Facebook Live of a person I know, and she was talking about how the fitness industry has also changed to somewhat of that model, where people are lowering their prices, people are not telling the full story of how their clients are losing weight, how their clients are getting in shape, because they're trying to attract a customer base, and they're willing to do almost anything to get money. Now, I'm not saying it's unethical or immoral, but what I am saying is you kind of lose your footing in your business lane when you are constantly changing and adapting to appease your customer base, when you have no solid foundation that they are willing to work with. On the other side, if you have a business model and then a customer base comes to you, particularly for that business model, and you just make changes or updates along the way, that is another way. I would say that will be places like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They had a specific business model. They have not really changed that much. And the changes they're making, whether we like the changes or not, we're adapting to that model, not the other way around. The model is not adapting to us. They may have made changes or tweaks or updates that may feel like it's accommodating us in a sense, but overall, we're adapting to them. People are now paying more on Facebook to have access to the audience that they had already built organically. People are paying more on Instagram to make sure that their posts are being seen. That is, a model that is not as flexible as the first one. It has a little bit more structure, but they have made it where the customers are willing to adapt to that model. I've talked about things such as this in previous episodes, but when you really think about finding your footing in business, you have to figure out, am I going to sway with the wind with Model 1, or am I going to stand firm and my customers adapt to me? So this is just my opinion and this is just my observation, but there are two models. And within those two types of models, there's millions of different ways you can run your business. But it's either you as the entrepreneur adapt to your customer base, or two, your customer base adapts to you, the entrepreneur. Once you have decided which one you want to fall under, then you have to create a framework, a structure that you can flow through to get from A to Z, to get from attracting customer to them paying and then becoming a repeat customer. Okay, so I hope this is making sense, because at the end of the day, finding your footing is such an important task that entrepreneurs have to do, that a lot of times we do not take the time to sit down and really look at things and make decisions, because we're always reacting to circumstances. We're reacting to what we see other people do. We're reacting to one piece of feedback. I said that 3 times because we see that one piece of feedback and it's usually not a positive one. And then we start changing everything to appease that one person. We have to take the time to sit down and to think. So for the past 2 years, I said The Truth Confidant. That was the name of my business. Well, I like the name. I like the name, but it doesn't fit exactly what I'm doing. And I have been developing the business over the last 2 years, really paying attention to feedback, doing a lot of customer surveys, getting a lot of input on the type of content that people connect with. And recently, I asked, my newsletter list, and I asked my Facebook group, do they like the name of the business? And overwhelmingly, they don't like the name of the business. What I am doing and the name of the business, it doesn't connect for them. Now it connects for me because I make it connect, but it doesn't connect for them. So am I swaying to number 1, Model 1, or am I sticking firm with Model 2? In my opinion, the name of your business really doesn't matter what business model you're doing. The name of your business should attract people to the model that you have developed. Now, for me, I have realized that adapting and changing and doing things just to appease a customer base doesn't work for me, because I'm a very type A person and I have to have things a certain way. So I'm more of, I build a framework, and the customers that can adapt to that framework are the ones I will work with. I can't change things every single week, because that's how the mood of a customer base is working. That doesn't work for me. That's why I've shut down a business before. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it taking a little longer for me to get a customer who fits the model, who adapts to the model, who connects with the model, who relates to the model that I have, opposed to trying to get the quick cash. I've done that, and it's very tiring, always chasing money. But the other way around, when people reach out to me and are like, I want to order journals for this, I want to have you do this. Now they have seen how I work, what it is I do, and then they realize, okay, I will work with you in that capacity. Now, last episode, I talked about how I try to do some type of customization, right? While I was watching The Profit, if you do not watch The Profit on CNBC, it is like my favorite business reality show. Anyway, I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly what was said. I was watching The Profit, and Marcus Lemonis said, sell value and experience, not customization and price. That sat with me for a few days because I had to really think about it. Most times people are selling price and customization in model one. They're adapting. Okay, if I lower my price, I'll get more customers. Or if I give them this particular color or this particular webinar, then they'll buy from me. Okay, that's model one. Value and experience would be more model two. What I do with the Truth Confidant, which the name could possibly change depending on some feedback that I'm receiving. Anyway, for right now, the name of the business is the Truth Confidant. But what I'm doing stays the same. I'm focusing on teaching you how to use journaling as a way to define your peace. And it is specifically for stressed individuals. Now, if I'm selling value, which means I am teaching you a process that you can use for the rest of your life on how to prevent stress from ruining your day, on how to define your peace, to create boundaries to protect that peace, and to be able to wake up and feel lighter every day of your life, that's an experience that people are willing to pay maybe a little bit more, or that people are willing to observe to really see if it works. That experience that I'm selling has invaluable price tag. You cannot put a price tag on your peace. You cannot put a price tag on knowing how to make sure that if stress creeps in, you immediately snuff it out. So when I was watching The Profit and Marcus Lemonis said sell value and experience, not customization and price, it just struck me that point blank period, I need to make sure that the experience through the process of using journaling to remove stressors from your life is something that is not a horrible, but you see whatever you're releasing as a weight being lifted off of your chest. Another thing in that particular episode, they talked about how people were quick to burn down the business without actually making the changes. So what does that mean? That's me when I closed that business because I didn't want to make the certain changes to accommodate that particular customer base. I could have tweaked, I could have made changes, or I could have just created a framework and stuck with that framework, that business model, and found a new customer base for that particular business. But what did I do? I just shut it all down because I didn't want to deal with it. That costs a lot of money. You do kind of beat yourself up. It kind of sits with you for a while because you feel like, why did I close it down? Or why didn't they gravitate to what I was doing? Why? You will start to question and doubt yourself, your skills, your abilities, even the ideas that you have. But when that was stated in The Profit, I really had to think about that. The last 2 years with the Truth Confidant. Now, last year I had a different business that I was running, but I was putting the Truth Confidant out there just to get feedback. I didn't officially launch it until January 2016. So the last 2 years I've really been working to build a business model that works for me to deliver the value to a particular clientele. It has been a slow go in a sense, but at the same time, I'm not quick to just throw it away. And that's a first for me because honestly, if things just don't work out quickly, I'm ready to move on to something else because nobody wants to feel that they're wasting their time doing certain tasks. However, like I stated in episode 1 of this season, I feel that this particular business is my karma. All the things that I've gone through in my personal life and, somewhat in my professional life, I feel that I have the experience to help other people get through really hard times and not allow it to destroy how they look at life. If I were to share everything I've ever been through in my life, people would wonder, how do I still laugh and enjoy life? Because I went through a process. And after I got through that process, I realized that I cannot allow pain to dictate how I continue to live. I traded in pain for peace. So that is what this business is selling, trading in your pain for peace. However, when I'm thinking of finding my footing, when I'm thinking of the business model, I can't sway with the customer base. I can't adapt to what makes them feel good that moment that they have contact with me. I have to have a structure that's the same today, tomorrow, and next year. Why? Because when people are going through a healing process, when people are really reflecting through their journaling, it has to be something that becomes a routine. So if I were to change and say, okay, this is how I'm going to do it now, I'm going to do Facebook Lives and drown you with content, it could be overwhelming for a lot of people. I have to understand that the way I approach, the way I allow them to learn to connect with the message, the way that I deliver the product, it has to have a certain pattern and it has to be the same. It cannot be 1 week. Okay, I decided I'm going to do Facebook Lives every day and I'm going to sit on this Facebook Live and I'm going to hawk my journal. It's not that. I would come off as flaky. I would come off as desperate. I would come off as not knowing my stuff. And that's not very good, specifically for what I'm selling, for what I'm doing. So my business model has to be on a stronger foundation, more of like the social media where is the framework and you come within that framework and you start going through the different levels or stages or however you want to name it. Now, am I going to share that with you? No, I'm not going to share the different steps. But what I can say, I purposely do not drown my social media with stats, with journaling tips all the time, with just the business. I want you to really see that I am a product of what I am teaching you. I have had other people post online, working with me, things they've learned, how helpful it's been. I don't need to drown you with information. What I need to do is show you the results. That is my model. That's within my model, I should say. Showing you the results of the process that I am teaching you through journaling. I can't do that if every week I'm changing how I am approaching you, how I'm adapting to you. Because you may think that this is not real, that what I've gone through is just a facade, what I've gone through is fake, and I'm just trying to get after your money. That's how I feel with some people who are in Model 1, the way they adapt. Now, let me go back to Model 1 real quick. That also can apply to like retailers, which is different because they're selling particular products. Now, how they sell their products to you may have to adapt to your moods, like Black Friday, They had to slash prices because we wanted deals. I did some Black Friday shopping from small businesses. I'm not saying Model 1 is bad. I'm saying Model 1 is tiring to me. Model 2 allows me to be able to give high energy as I work on the business, as I am showing you the process, as I am giving you information to help you go from pain to peace. That's what I'm saying. There are a lot of people I know who do Model 1 and it works very well for them. They're more extroverted, so maybe that works for them in a way. But this introvert has to be able to deliver quality each and every time. And in order for me to deliver quality, I need to do the Model 2, where I've created a framework. That way, every time you're seeing me in every stage, I'm giving you my best. I'm not exhausted because I was chasing you. I'm able to give you my best because I was there when you were ready. That's the difference for me in Model 1 and Model 2 in finding my footing. Okay, so we are going to take a quick sip and then we are going to come back. Okay, if you're anything like me, then you love a good deal, offer, or special. And if you're anything like me, having things shipped to your door is just a convenient way. So if you go to VernettaRFrainey.com and you sign up for my journal entries, you will receive special and exclusive deals offers from Target.com. Also, if you are ready to go from pain to peace, if you're ready to go through the process of reflecting on things that have happened to you as you remove a stressor from your life so that you can go from one stressful situation to a peaceful solution, go to VernettaRFrainey.com and order your copy of Detox the B.S. journal. Okay, so we are back for the rest of this episode. So this episode feels like it's kind of heavy, and I don't want it to be heavy, but I also want us to really think about things, because if we have no structure as an entrepreneur, then we have no way of knowing what to do each day to make sure that we're getting whatever we're creating, whether it's a service, a product, or an event, out to the customer base that we have created or that has found us. We have to be able to deliver every single day. Now, am I saying that there are going to be days where you just don't feel like doing anything? Absolutely. I feel like that most days. Or is there a day where you just kind of goof it off? I've done that. I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't. I've done that. But I have things in place that if I am like, okay, this day is a wash. Can I still have things going out? Can I still have things that are happening? Absolutely. Because I have structured my content or my delivery, or I've had things that other people are doing for me to make sure that the business is still running in some type of form or fashion. Now, with the blog association, it's a little different. We are definitely the second model where we have created a framework and it is what it is. We cannot sway with people or it will be chaotic. We have to have a certain framework that everybody has to kind of find their way within. Do we tweak things? Do we change things? Absolutely. We're not like stubborn and can't make changes to accommodate the membership base, but we can't change how we're doing things within the association every month just because one member is like, well, I don't want to do online, let's do offline. Okay, but everybody else wants online, and I'm talking about trainings. We have to say, okay, as a leadership team, this is what we have to do to accommodate the vast majority, and this is going to just work so that we can create a system that can be repeated. That framework is something that everyone can get used to. So definitely with the blog association, it is model 2. There's just no possible way that we can adapt and change with the mood of every member in the association. It would be a complete chaotic mess. In all honesty, it would be a mess, and it would feel as if there's no direction for the organization. And with a lot of things that we have going on, that we have coming up, we definitely have to go into model 2 and say this is the framework, and members have to find their space within the framework, because there's just too many moving pieces for us to continue to sway with one person wanting it done this way and another person wanting things done a different way. We just can't do that with the association. Now, the question for today's episode, and I hardly ever really touch on the question directly, but I definitely want to touch on today's question. How long should it take to figure out your business model? I would say that is kind of hard. It really is, because what if you had this amazing idea and you put it all together and you put it out and it just did not work, and you found a customer base that likes what you're doing. They may even somewhat like how you're doing it, but it's still not resonating. So there's no specific time that you should figure out your business model. However, you want to figure it out as quickly as possible, because you don't want to keep spending money on things that just aren't working. I've been there. I I speak a lot from experience on a lot of things, and I like to share my experience, because if I can help one person avoid some type of frustration and curb your learning a little bit, then I feel that this podcast is well worth it. There's so many things as entrepreneurs that we are not told until we're in the trenches. And then once we're in the trenches, once we're frustrated with everything going on, we're doubting ourselves, we're mentally beating ourselves up, we've spent an insane, unnecessary amount of money. Then all of a sudden, someone's, oh yeah, I could have told you that, but what? Why didn't you? Why didn't you share, that this model wasn't going to work for my business? Now, on the flip side, what if someone did tell you that model was not going to work for your specific business, but you did not listen? And then you went through financial chaotic mess because you're spending money that you shouldn't be spending, but you don't know you shouldn't be spending it because you don't know what you're doing. Then you start beating yourself up, staying late, depriving yourself of sleep, probably not eating right, probably not seeing sunlight. All of that takes a toll on you. A lot of stress, a lot of frustration from entrepreneurs comes from not knowing which business model you should do, or which business model works best for you. You also have to take into account your skill set. You have to take into account your abilities, your capacities. If you're not doing this full time, you have to take into account your time constraints. Business models are very important because you have to know, what am I able to do? Being willing to do something is great, but if you have constraints on you that are limiting the willingness that you have to take that into consideration. You just can't let it go. You can't ignore the fact that you have some type of constraint on you. So for me, the two models that I gave you, like I said, those are just two examples, and there are millions of different models within those two main ones. But the first one, where you're having to adapt to people, I can't do that because it just doesn't work for my skill set. I'm a teacher. That's what I've done for 10 years. So I like things to be succinct, because I feel that if I'm moving you from A to B and I'm seeing you move from A to B, and you got A, you get to B, you get B, you move to C, then I know you're moving through the cycle and you're understanding and you're grasping. So if I'm teaching you how to use journaling, and you decide, okay, I'm going to get a journal and I'm going to commit to 5 minutes a day for 30 days. And you do that. You have mastered A. Now I can move you to B. After I see you master B, I will move you to C. That, for me, allows me to really get to know you and really make sure that you understand and you connect with what I'm selling you. So I have, I guess you could say, a personal touch or a personal type of commitment that I want to see you succeed. I want to see you get to the point where you are not faking the joy that you're displaying, that you are ultimately at peace and happy. That in and of itself means I've done what I needed to do. And as a teacher, I can't say, oh yeah, you're going to get to peace, if you don't know what that means. So I'm helping you define that. So I'm helping you create something that you've never had before. And that takes a little bit of time and effort. And model one, where I'm having to adapt and change and all of that, it doesn't work. But within model two, as a teacher, going back to like small group, going back to scaffolding, going back to doing interventions within, that's just like how I ran the classroom. There are 27 students in there, all at different learning levels, but there's a certain way that I'm teaching. Then I can pull each student to the side, put them in groups, work with them one-on-one, and still hit their pain points and make sure that they're still understanding the lesson. That's why Model 2 works for me. I have created a framework, and then I can see where you are, and I can say, okay, here's a specific journaling course that you can take that will help you. Here are some specific resources that can help you. But that's not me adapting. That's me giving you something in addition to what's already in front of you. Now, I really hope this makes sense. So let me kind of wrap up what I'm saying as far as the business model. Because I'm not saying hierarchy of CEO, vice president. I'm not talking about the chain of command. What I'm talking about is, what are you giving to an audience, and how are they receiving what you're giving them? In my opinion, in my observation, there are two ways. The first way, you can create something and you give it to an audience and they tell you, I want it this way, not the way you're giving it to me. So you give it to them how they say they want it. And then another new group of customers come in. I don't like it that way. I want it this way. So then you give it to them that way. Then group one gets upset and they see that, oh, group two is probably getting a little special treatment. So we want more. And you start giving them more. So you're constantly indulging your customer base. And a lot of times, from my observation and from my personal experience, you're not charging for these indulgences that they're requesting, that they're requiring of you. You're giving them, trying to get them to purchase something from you. So you're moving, adapting to their whims, and you're probably not even charging. And if you are charging, you're not even charging enough to break even. I'm not saying model one is not profitable, it doesn't work. It just has not worked for me. You have to find what works for you. Now, I do know some people who make a lot of money and they work very well in model one, but they're constantly creating, constantly doing stuff. They have to be. They can't sit and not come out with something new every week. It's almost like that, how they said, fashion cycles used to be twice a year, fall and spring. And then it moved to 4 times a year, for each of the seasons. Now we're at like a 52 cycle in fashion. And what that means is every week fashion has changed. They're churning out so many different things within the fashion world that whatever you bought on Friday is out of style by Wednesday. That works for some people, but you have to constantly feed the beast. The beast is your customer base. You have to constantly give them something. They're not content with keeping whatever you have for an extended period of time. They want more. And a lot of that time, more does not mean that they're buying. They want more, but sometimes they may not want to pay more. In the second model, where you have your framework, what you're doing is you're saying, I have this outline, like a research paper. This is the flow. And you're going from 1 to 5. And you follow the outline step by step. If you skip a step, that may be okay. It may be okay. But you're still going from step 1 to step 5. I fall more into that model, into that category. I'm not trying to talk to anybody about journaling who hates writing. You don't like writing, I'm not going to try to convince you. That is not my job to convince you. If you're interested, but you're a little shaky, I'm willing to talk to you. What I'm saying is, I have a certain way that I'm going to run my business. And I'm not going out of my way to bring you into the business. So, for example, I'm not running a coffee shop and I'm not standing outside the coffee shop and every time someone walks by, hey, you, come on in. I'm not doing that. Think of the food court, okay? And the people who have the samples and they're walking around trying to give out the samples so that you come to their little kiosk, their little booth or whatever it's called at the food court. I don't even know if people still eat at the food court, but if you're my age or older, you understand. Most times you take that free little bite and you keep it moving. Very rarely do you sit there and take one of the samples and then you walk yourself over to the little kiosk and you order. That's more model A. Model B is where you are sharing information and the customer is specifically looking for information. So maybe they will buy certain magazines because they know that information will be there. Maybe they watch certain channels on TV because that information is going to be there. Maybe they follow certain pages on Facebook because they know that information is going to be there. Maybe they attend certain events because they know that information is going to be there. They are seeking and they are looking for something specific. That's me. I am having my information in specific places because the people I want to reach are going to that place. They're more willing to make a purchase. They're more willing to go through the cycle. They're more willing to actually use journaling as a way to self-reflect and begin to move stressors out of their life. And stressors are life's dramatic events. That's the simplest way I can explain it. But essentially, I'm the gas station. I mean, that's a horrible explanation. But you don't see people standing on the side of the street telling you to come in and get your gas. No, you go to the gas station because you need gas. You're looking for gas. You have a need for gas. So when people come to me, they have a need of releasing pain so that they can enjoy peace, so that they can experience peace. That is the model that I work with. That's the business model. I'm not searching for clients. I'm putting my information in specific places for people who are looking for that specific information. So how long should it take you to figure out your business model? It took me some years to figure out that this works for me, even though I've had business coaches tell me, well, you should do this and you should charge $10 and you should create this audio and you should create this ebook and charge $5 for this ebook. And why am I selling myself short for knowledge and information that I've spent lots of money on? I'm not trying to mass produce. Remember, the boutique within this business model, I also have a boutique mindset. I talked about this last episode. I'm not mass producing what I'm doing. There is a specific clientele that wants to work with me. Just like there's a specific clientele that goes to boutiques. People who shop at Walmart rarely go to boutiques. They may go to a place like City Trends if they don't want to shop at Walmart. But again, they're still going to a mass-produced type of entity. I'm not a mass-produced business, nor do I want to be. I want to be a boutique. I want to be a place where people are coming because this is what they need. I hate to say it, but I want to be the gas station. Because, you don't really have to do too much to advertise a gas station. In all honesty, people are coming to you because they're in need of what you are selling. They have a car's out of gas, they need gas, you're selling gas. That's the model that works. That's the same with the social media. We want a place to connect with people, to share information, to stay connected, to reconnect, to learn. That's all in one place, right? That's in social media. We go there. Some of us go there multiple times a day. Social media is not doing anything to tell us, come to me, come to Facebook, come to Facebook. They don't have to. We come to them because we have this need, this craving. And that's what I want my business model to be, where you're having this craving for peace. And I put my content and I put my information in specific places that you are looking, you see that information, and then you come to me. I don't want to run around and put it everywhere, because then I will be targeting people who are not my customer base. I could be targeting stressed people who don't care and who enjoy being stressed because it's comfortable to them. I'm targeting people who are stressed, who want to not be stressed anymore. And not just that, but they are willing to do the work to not be stressed anymore. So that's very specific. So there's a ton of stressed people, ton of people who are, dealing with depressive episodes, especially with the politics that are happening. But a lot of them enjoy being there because it's comforting and it's easy. I'm looking for people who are ready to do the work to get out of those types of mindsets and to put in the work to define, to create, to protect the peace that they want. And I can't do that with Model 1. It just won't work for this particular business. And with the blog association, Model 1 won't work for that particular entity as well. Okay, so like I said, I didn't want this to be heavy. When I was thinking about finding your footing, it really just kind of came to me as a way of, we really need to talk about, how are we creating our businesses? Like, have we even thought about that? Like, what is it that we're selling, and how are we giving it to our customer base? But is that working for us, or is it working for them? If it's not working for us, we can't keep it up for a very long time. Think about it. You get burnt out, you get frustrated, you get fed up, you start lashing out, you start slacking off, getting sloppy, the quality goes down. If you're not able to keep up that business model for an extended period of time, or you're not able to hire a staff to keep that up, then what's the point of doing it? Now, can you go from Model 1 to Model 2 or Model 2 to Model 1? Absolutely, you can change, but that's also going to affect your customer base. How they connected with Model 1 may not be something, they may not like Model 2, and vice versa. So to say that, okay, I've done Model 1 for 2 years and it's just not working, let me switch to Model 2, you're probably going to have to find a new customer base, which, number one, would probably be a good thing if they weren't paying you to begin with. But it's a whole different mindset for you as the entrepreneur. You have to make the switch. You have to do things a little different. No matter which model you choose, you as the entrepreneur have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to see that model. How can I put this? You have to see that model done in a way that goes from beginning to end. You can't just do it and then say, okay, it's not working, let me switch. Why is it not working? Take the time to think about that. What is not working? Are you in the wrong area? Meaning, are you tapping into the wrong pool for customers? If so, find a different pool. Nothing may be wrong with your model. If you're on Model A and you're doing all this stuff but people aren't buying, maybe you're in the wrong pool. Move to a different pool. There could be people who connect with you, but they're not swimming in the same pool that you're swimming in. Okay, so let's get ready for the final toast. So today's final toast is this. Know what you're giving to people and how they're willing to take it. But not just that. You have to also think, how are you willing to give it to them? Does model A work for you or model B? What works with your capacity? Once you are able to answer those questions, you are able to create a business model that works for you, and you will begin to attract the customers that are willing to pay you for whatever it is you're selling, whether it's products, whether it's services, whether it's events. But ultimately, what you want to do is find a business model that you can continue to give quality to a customer base over an extended period of time. Okay, so this has been a Toast to Truth with Fernetta Arfreni. That's me talking about finding your footing and the consequences that I have encountered. This is Season 6, Episode 5, Finding Your Footing.